Been here.
And you let me know when I can be official. Okay, we're good. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Lucy Robbins Wells Library Board of Trustees meeting for Monday, March 11th, 2024. We have people in person in the room and also on the screen, so please speak up when you're speaking, so everybody who's remote can hear. Sometimes we don't project enough when we're in this room. But other than that, we have a pretty good time here. So I'm going to ask Elizabeth to go through with roll call.
George Bernaco.
Here.
Andy Brecker. Anna Eddy.
Anna was here.
Yeah, she was here,
Just stepped
right?
out,
Okay.
yeah. She's absent.
Iris Larson.
Here.
Leanne Mankey.
Here.
Maureen O'Connor Lyons.
Here.
Chris Riley.
Here.
Neil Ryan. Christine Shushin.
Yeah, hold on. So Neil Ryan had to step out to go across the street to a meeting and then he's gonna
Here.
step back in.
I'll just have this time.
Yeah.
So Christine, I heard. Diane Stamp. Here. Theo New York.
Here.
Lisa Maxton. Karen Benner.
Here.
Sheila Rowell.
Here.
David Nagel.
Here.
And Kim Rod.
Somebody say here for Anna?
Yes, we
Yes,
did.
thank you.
Sorry, we did. Thank you. Any public participation online, Jen? No? Yeah, okay. I don't see any general public here. Thank you. So we'll move on to town liaison council. We have both our town liaisons here with us. We have Kim and Dave both here. Any news you guys would like to share?
It's budget season. Need we say more?
Yeah, the 23rd is, I think, the last meeting we mentioned, the 23rd is when the library comes up. And the town manager has submitted her budget to us. We got it last Friday, and tomorrow night at 6, she's going to present it to the public. And then the council during the regular meeting gets to work, right? And
Exactly.
starts
She
listening
is
to all the
having-
details.
Town manager presents it to the public.
Basically, I guess.
Yeah, it's a public forum at 6 o'clock.
Yeah. Oh, and the central meeting that I was always concerned about, there's gonna be some discussion about that. I'm not quite certain what's going to happen. The building committee, the central building committee. And we'll let that play out tomorrow. We should have some information.
I have no more than you do at this point.
Okay.
We do have a town manager search committee. And that consists of myself, Tim Mankey, and Mitch Page with, Mayor Trister as ex officio. So we did meet, briefly tonight, just to kind of take first steps. So, nothing earth shattering to announce, at least for a while, but, we wanted to meet, get together, and have a discussion and, start to talk about the next steps in this process of a search for, a new town manager.
Super.
The only other thing I can mention, it's I guess is it a quasi, not really a council, committee, but we've, had conversations with the Newington Art League and with other folks, and, have been meeting. We had our second we had met periodically over the past year and a half, with Gary Turco, with Gail Budraka, myself, Tim Mankey, different iterations of some of the council folks and the arts, folks, and, we have met now twice, last Friday at 5 o'clock was our second meeting, to really talk about developing an arts and cultural center in the community. And I know that the library has always been a part of arts and culture, and we're not forgetting you, but we thought at the beginning, we just kind of wanted to keep it with a relatively small group of folks, but I think as we're moving forward, we had a really made a really great connection with someone who is a town resident, but also works for, at the state level for Department of Economic and Community Development. In the historical restoration, she's an archaeologist, and she came and she's actually gonna be continuing to be part of our meeting and, just had some really good ideas, and I think, we'll be calling on you folks and see if you can get, someone who might want to represent the library and representatives. So that as we start to move along and kind of begin to flesh out some ideas that.
So is it historical buildings in particular, or is it historical buildings and all other things, arts?
It's arts writ large, arts and culture, so that's why we wanted to kind of make it as broad as possible. What are our needs, what are our assets, what are the resources here in the community, what might be, we might be able to call on for, funding possibilities. We know we have, the Historical Society, which we also, of course, want to bring into the fold. And, we have had a historical district more or less designated. Dave, you remember when the committee came and they did a presentation to the town council. So we've got a lot of really exciting stuff here in town. And how do we connect them? How do we kind of create something that would encompass all that we have to offer? So it's in its baby stages. We're taking baby steps for now. We'll just let people know what's going on. I know, Dave, you said you were always interested in it.
I said, when you're talking about,
We've done
well,
this a
earlier,
while
I said I was interested, but I'm glad to see something.
Well, Gail and I have been part of the discussions even way back a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. And she's come to the meetings, but again, it's not necessarily a council or a town commission or board or committee. It's a group of people right now with similar interests and desires that kind of want to see what we can do to move forward and put Newington even better on the map.
And now, did you say that you met with the Newington Art League in town as well?
They were the ones that actually initiated this conversation almost 2 years ago. Reached out to Gary Turco, who's one of their state reps, and, Gary contacted a few of us and said, are you interested? Let's sit down and have. So it's all been very informal. So we're trying bit by bit to see what can we do.
I was just curious because I'm part of the Newington Art League as well, so I have a meeting on Wednesday, so I was wondering
okay.
whether
It's been
hear
it's
stuff.
Pat and Ken and her last name is Dickey. Flo Dickey
Yeah,
has
and
come to a
Pat,
couple
yeah.
of meetings, but very early on, it kind of initiated by Pat and Ken,
Okay.
who, I know the Art League has kind of moved from place to place with.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the beat? Well, they used to have a home. then they got-
I know the meetings we usually have are over in the senior center, over in the ceramic room is usually where we meet.
They were at the senior center. Before that, they were at, it wasn't being used as a caretaker facility. Kelly House for a while.
Yeah.
They were at the former building, across the street that got torn down for
The old
the assisted
NCT.
living or whatever that building is called.
Was the NCTV on one side and they were on the other?
Yes, originally that's the way it was, and then when that got taken apart, that's when they became a moving target, so to speak.
So I know I'm talking to a captive audience that probably agrees with this, so it would be fair to say that the town needs to have meeting space for our community. Because we don't have enough space.
But in
now.
this case, there's also the need for display space as well.
Exactly, classroom space, studio space, performance, and exhibition space, so, a lot of big ideas, and we'll be corralling as many people as possible, because this could be something really cool.
I'm not speaking for the library, but I would surmise that the library would be
the library board would be interested in collaborating on this.
I have to tell.
Well, I can see the library's being.
The Lucy Robbins Wells Library and Cultural Center.
Maybe not in that broad aspect, but.
No, but.
No, but I mean, the arts, it could be.
Well, we know in the renovation of the town hall, we lost a lot of community cultural space. We lost the teen center, we lost the auditorium.
We lost a lot of display items.
We lost a
A
lot
lot
of
of the
display items.
displays that were up, that were art, got,
Well, a few of us, and I don't mean for this to go, because this is way beyond board of trustees, but
Right.
the beautiful totem that Walt Warchow carved. We think it's at the Masonic Temple. We're gonna find out because we think
It disappeared.
that was it was beautiful and it depicted our, you know, a
there
portrait
was,
of our.
there was an Afghan that was on the wall that was given by the Junior Women's Club for the 125th. And Lisa saw it coming down, nobody had called the juniors, and she got hold of it and passed it on to some former juniors, and I think it's somewhere here in the library. But, a lot of those kind of things, there was a lot of artwork up there that I have no idea where it got, whether it got claimed or somewhere in a room.
All part of a mission.
That we need, everybody needs space for them, yeah, okay, great. All right, any questions for our town councilors? Thank you both. Secretary's report, Iris?
I have a report.
All right, thank you. Approval of the minutes. Has everyone gone through the minutes? Any questions, corrections?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
So, Leanne and George, any discussion at this point? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it looks like online is also in favor. Approval of the minutes passes unanimously. Review of the annual activities committee. Well, it's March, so it says 5K raise, library budget. Panel. So as we go through from that end, so that's what March is all about. So, earlier we had our race meeting and we'll fill in, when we hit that part of our agenda. Hanel as well, I know there's some information there that will come up on our agenda, so that's all. That's all good. It's like we're hitting our things on our activity committee, calendar, so thank you all. Do you wanna know what comes up in March? 5K race, April, 5K race, 5K race. Just so you know, just so you know. Treasurer's report, Leanne Mankey.
I sent out the treasurer's report last week. I hope it went to all that needed it. We are, we received the, STEM grant came in, so that's in our coffers now. And will be tracked accordingly for the children's and teens, half and half. The checking is at, as of the end of February, is at $55,350.48. We did pay out for the SLEVA. That was restricted funds, so that was, a pretty good size amount as well that went out, but from what I understand, it was very well received. The money market is at $41,037.54. The Kingston unrestricted non-investment fund is at $267,460.38. All reimbursements have been made between the restricted and unrestricted accounts, and the restricted and unrestricted breakdown is down below. Other than that, everything is clicking along. We have sponsorships that have come in, and the next March and April are gonna be expenses that go out accordingly, but, that is our bread and butter. That's what keeps us operating, so, keep that in mind, folks. And I do encourage, I did say this at the race meeting, I encourage trustees to also sponsor the race at the trustee level. Checks payable to Lucy Robbins Wells Library, Inc.
What are the various levels?
Oh, Oh, okay, you want me to, well, not all. Trust me, that, I'm just over here, these ladies
The
know.
trustees level is $100 and it's
Yeah.
only exclusively for the people at this table.
Right.
And then the next level is 250, which is,
Well, cheers is 150.
cheers is 150, and then it's 200
250
for
silver,
silver, 500 for gold, and
then it goes up from there.
yeah. The sky's the limit.
Anybody wants to give $1 million, we'll take it.
Well,
That's right.
We'll take $10, so, we'll take one, so whatever, if you're willing, but,
But to add, to
these are very
piggyback
fun.
onto Leanne though, it's, you can support the race, or you can, as a trustee, you can also become a recurring donor, which, where you make incremental payments over the 12 months.
But anybody can be a recurring.
And anybody, but for the trustees, it's either or. If you're not a recurring member, we're asking.
Either
that you-
or both, it's up to you.
The only thing I will explain, and I did mention this before, is if you are a race sponsor and you want that credit to the library in terms of the tax credit, it needs to go through either the race site or it needs to come to a check for us. It comes directly to the library. Network for Good is like a United Way. You're donating to another fund and they're giving it to us. So the donation is to Network for Good. It's not to the library, even though it comes to us and we benefit from it. It's just, but if you want that specific, you gave to the library. It's indicated at Network for Good that that's where it went, but your actual giving is to the Network for Good.
I guess only had just one question when I was looking for the finance. There's a postponed, one mispronounced it, Deschler.
Oh, Seal Deschler,
Yeah.
that was on last, what happened was, they were supposed to come in December. I
Okay,
cut a check, and then there was postponement either from cancellation for weather or illness or whatever. But the problem was that sub was gonna hit over $600, which meant their 1099 would have been reported to the IRS.
okay,
And they would have gotten the check, because they're not coming till this month.
okay.
So I canceled and then reissued.
And,
it.
okay, so that's why I was just trying,
That's-
I thought it kind of balanced out, I just wasn't sure what that was.
No, it was a case of, they were gonna get hit with the taxes and they didn't get paid,
Okay,
so that's what that was for.
all right, thank you.
It's always about the taxes.
Yeah, that's what you keep me around for.
Other things. Thank you. Okay, any other questions for the treasurer, Leanne? Anyone online? Nope, okay. Thank you. Library director's report. I know Lisa is out on medical leave, so, Karen, are you doing both or a combination report?
Sure.
All right. Karen Benner's up, wearing multiple hats.
So I think Lisa mentioned last month, about some of the issues that we've been having with patrons. We've had to call the police multiple times. But I think she referred to a particular incident, where one of the staff member was threatened. So we had banned this individual for 3 months, and we, after some conversation, decided, Lisa contacted the police and we decided to extend that for a year because it was a pretty scary situation. So, we're continuing, we haven't had anything that monumental since that happened, but we're continuing to, see issues, where,
And is that person abiding by the ban so far?
yes, yes. And if he were to show up, we would call the police right away. So, at our next staff meeting, we have somebody from Human Services who's coming to speak to us. And I met with her last week, so I think it's really gonna be helpful. She seems to have, a lot of tools in her toolbox for us. I think one of the big things that staff is looking for is some direction in some kind of phrases to use.
De-escalation.
Yes, so she's gonna talk to us about that, she's gonna provide some resources for us, she's offered to come back a second time, so I think that will be good and hopefully kind of, new people learn.
And this is an outsourced service?
This is Human Services, the
So our
town
human
department,
services,
yeah,
not.
yeah, they've been great, very responsive, and I have, a call into someone in the police department to see if we can get the police to come out for our April meeting and sort of talk to us about, I think one of the things that happens is people are, you know, it's kind of, where's that line? When do we call the police and when don't we? And, you know, you kind of tend to, I think, not do it when you should. So I think it'll be kind of good to hear from them as well. So those two things are coming up in the next couple of months.
Karen, can I ask a question?
Sure.
about that? Does the library have a policy that they fall back on to explain?
We
sort of-
have a behavior policy.
Okay,
And so, and actually that is now posted on the public bulletin boards.
Mhm.
We have them at each service desk. We've gone over it at staff meetings and pretty much, you know, any of this any of these situations, you can link right back to that behavior policy. Which is good because I think staff feel reassured, you know, you have something to kind of point to and say. And I think one of the things that we really struggle with is dealing with people with some mental health issues. And I think we tend to make accommodations, maybe at the expense of, I did it myself. You know, I had a program, I had someone in the program. She was very disruptive, definitely had issues. I had probably 35 people in the room. And, you know, I think we tend to kind of try to meet that need and, you know, we want to be here for everybody. We want everybody to be comfortable in the space. But what Human Services in my meeting with them has said is like, your behavior policy is applicable to everybody. So, you know, you're well-meaning and you guys are out there trying to, you know, deal with something, but we have no idea what maybe somebody's issues are or how to deal with that, you know what I mean? So, so I think that's gonna be helpful. You know, I was surprised, their recommended threshold, I think we talked about this, is probably lower than what we're dealing with right now. So, so it'll be interesting to hear what she has to say, and I think it'll be helpful, yes.
So, the police are coming in for your April meeting?
I haven't confirmed that yet, I'm trying to get them for April.
I'm just wondering in terms of, obviously you call them if you have an issue, and you've got everybody on watch for this particular individual. I'm just wondering, in general, is there, not that our police need any more to do, but I just wondered if there's any kind of a policy where they periodically just kind of like walk through and
So
say hi and
Yeah.
just have a presence there, that's all.
not really, and I think it's been brought up by staff, that they would like to see that, and I think it's a very reasonable, but like you said, you know, I'm sure they're busy, but, you know, we're public building, open 7 days a week, you know, we don't have security, we don't, you know, it's amazing, you know, when they are here, it really can make a difference. We had one incident with somebody and the police actually did not approach him. They didn't need to, you know, he kind of saw them and it was sort of like, okay, I'm, you know, I'm out of here. So it helps.
I'm just wondering, you know, this is spitballing and I don't know if it's even possible, but to say something like, if we don't have something going on in the community room, offer it up. I don't, and again, I don't know police schedules or anything like that, but if there's a break or lunch or whatever, encourage them to come over and have their lunch sitting in here with that door open. Just to say, okay, they're in the building, maybe informally, but they're in the building. And maybe they don't wanna sit over in the town hall, they will come over here. Never know. I don't know, it seems to me that might deter some of the original aggression.
Yeah. I think that's a good suggestion.
My comment is that it's so unfortunate that we have gotten to this stage.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
It
You know,
is.
the library offers so many valuable things and, you know, come on already.
I mean, I feel like it's
Get
always
rid of
been, I feel like it's sort of always been, I mean, it's open to the, like you said, it's open to all patrons, you know, and so. It's, I don't know, not that I obviously don't agree, but I just think that sometimes it kind of ebbs and flows, but I do think that there's sort of.
Maybe we're more aware of it now.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more
Definitely.
prevalent.
And significant
Chris, did you
uptick.
Yeah, I just had a question, was kind of like with kind of the training and everything like that, because I know we were saying some of the behavior, you know, seems to be, you know, stemming from mental health issues, but I'm trying to think of, you know, the training or how they're figuring out which are mental health issues and which are, I'll say, just someone being.
Right, a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's-
Well, for instance, this individual, I would say she had known sensory issues. So it was pretty obvious, you know, she was in a program, noise, lights, stuff like that was really bothering her. So in that case, like,
Yeah.
but how would we know? It's a
Yeah,
good
right,
point,
we don't.
you know, we
Yeah, she
just
doesn't
don't
wear a
know.
sign right now.
You basically have to kind of treat everyone, I'll say the same, and then the result, then when they talk to them and everything, they can kind of figure out, hopefully, you know,
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah. The other piece to that is, and Jen can attest to this,
Which one?
because she's at the desk, which one? There are so many regulars, and so you kind of come to know, with the regulars who have some of these challenges, and that's, so they may be known to us, and we may not know exactly what the challenges are, but knowing that they do, and that maybe it's not so much anger, but it's coming out that
Something
way.
triggers.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, and so I guess to piggyback off Chris's comment, I know there's formal trainings out there that they offer de-escalation techniques. I mean, you know, it's not just the library. I used to work at an American Job Center and there were people coming in, yeah,
Yeah,
same thing. So it's just, I'm sure there's formal trainings out here that do de-escalation and will probably give you that threshold of, yeah, this is not gonna get any better. The police need to be involved.
yeah,
So-
yeah, that's a good point.
Is there more training available on that website that you were?
We have sent a few things out, actually, Jen and I are working on that, we had a couple of de-escalation videos that we sent out. So, you know, that's been somewhat helpful, but not in-depth enough at all, I think.
And you were referring to the niche training?
Yes, yes. I'm just thinking, we can't be the only ones who are being confronted with this. Public.
Yeah, to piggyback on what everybody else is saying, I think in some ways, for lack of a better description, it's a trickle down effect. I mean, I've seen news reports and read articles on this happening in the larger cities and to a much larger degree, that it really affects the everyday workings within a facility. So the fact that we're starting to deal with it here is not surprising, you know, because it's just the way the world is at this point. And
Karen, this is Maureen. We don't have security cameras either, right?
We do have cameras.
Throughout
yeah,
the library?
I'm sorry,
Throughout the
Throughout-
library?
the library, but not in all places. But we have relied on and referred to the camera footage in many instances.
Well, my thought was just to have signs posted that, you know, we're being, you know, there's security cameras monitoring the activity in the library. That might deter some issues.
What's that?
The front door's happening.
Do that?
The staff door does, and I think the front
The
door.
front door has it. Jen was just saying that we have two out there, but yes, I think that's a good point. We could make them more prominent.
I think you have to say that there are cameras.
There's
I think
something.
there's a
Yeah,
lot-
I
a
think
lot
that's
to
it's on the front door,
Yeah.
but we could put one by the computer
Yeah.
stations, we could put one, you know,
Yeah,
smile,
that should be kind of.
smile, you're on
various
camera.
spots, Yeah, right. Smile.
That's great.
The patrons don't have to know if there are 2 or 50, just that there's monitoring.
Right. And that may help eliminate not the people who have perhaps are dealing with a mental health issue, but people who are just want.
That is how
trouble.
don't work.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. So in April, we're going to be participating in the Passport to Connecticut Libraries program. I don't know if you guys remember that is sponsored by the Connecticut Library Association. And It's where you go to your town library, we issue you a little, you need a library card, we issue you a passport, you get your passport stamped, you get a little gift, and then what the purpose is really to encourage people to go as many Connecticut libraries as possible. Each one they go to, they get stamped, they get a little prize, and then at the end, everything goes into a pool, and, you know, all of the Connecticut libraries send their stuff to a central location, and then there are a couple of big winners. So it's a lot of fun. It's fun to see, and it's kids and adults. So that's starting April 1st, and it's gonna go to the 30th. We also have something new coming out at the library. It's virtual author talks. So they are live talks. They're all virtual from best-selling, sometimes award-winning authors. And they take place, I think they're offering 2 to 3 per month. So you go on the website, you can sign up, you're in real time with the author, it's interactive, you can ask questions. If you cannot make it, they send us recordings and we post the recordings on the website. And this is, I'm just gonna pass this around a little bit. These are the authors that will be coming up for April and May. So we're pretty excited about it. I think it's a smart way to do some of our programming. There really isn't staff involvement, which is great, and, you know.
Are we doing the collaborative funding on that?
No.
Do you need to sign up with your like, when you log in, is it like, does it ask if you're a Newington resident or you have a library card? It's just.
Anybody.
Oh, cool, okay.
Yeah. So,
And anybody can get the recording. I like the idea of the recording.
yeah, I mean, it's great. That I think again, it's not in place yet, so this is how it's supposed to work. They said they can turn it around within 24 hours, so then that would be on the website. So the only disadvantage to that is, you know, it's not interactive, you can't ask questions, but you can view the author talk.
But as somebody who's never seems to be available when everybody's live, it's nice to have the recording if you're interested
absolutely.
to see what happens.
We offered a couple of new technology programs this month. This is something that we've been meeting and kind of working on, and how to kind of get more people engaged in some of the technology programs, because some of the things that we have been doing, it's kind of like we were talking about ebbing and flowing, you know, what was really popular 5 years ago, you know, it's just not the same. So we started back up with a technology drop-in hour. And it was dedicated to just helping patrons with their smartphones. And Jen and myself and Michelle Patnode, our digital services librarian, whose program this was, were in here for a full hour, I think, or more. And with people waiting, it was a big hit. So we were pretty excited about that. So what we're hoping to do, there's gonna be another one coming up. We're going to get some teen volunteers. And have that be kind of a regular thing, have the teams working with, you know, people with their phones. Maybe we'll expand it to other things. And then, Michelle also just did a program, introduction to, HTML coding, and had no idea how that was gonna go over, if anybody was gonna be interested, and we had quite a turnout and people interested. So it's fun, it's interesting to see.
What do they
things
learn in
out
the
there.
HTML code, intro code?
Coding, that's all I can tell you.
But HTML is used for the websites and posting, or what's HTML used for?
Yeah,
Yeah.
building blocks of the website,
Yeah.
really basic stuff that we build off of it. Yeah.
We don't necessarily, or it's very seldom that we use it. We don't use it, but yes. So, and then, just
My
to-
students, I know what this is.
we are having, Facilities has arranged for an HVAC company to come in. They are gonna be installing a new exhaust fan. The work starts on the 18th. They're gonna start at like 6:30 in the morning. It's gonna be pretty, yeah, I see your face. It's gonna be pretty loud. But they're really trying to keep the noise level between like 6:30 and 9:30. So they've kind of assured us that they're gonna do the best they can with that. So that's gonna be,
Where's the fan going?
it's down
In that
in
candle
the,
room?
yeah.
That's
So
sucks.
it's
Okay.
about, it's like a 3 or 4 day project. So. And that's all I have. Thank you.
I guess I just had one kind of question when I've looked at the director's reports. Just wondering when the statistics are listed for like circulation and all that, is there anything that would show like, increase from a previous month or increase from a past year or decrease, just so that kind of see, how we're doing relative to maybe like the same time last year or?
We do have that
Okay,
information. I mean, we do track that. I'll make a note to talk to Lisa about that.
okay.
Tell her you mentioned it.
I was just thinking that way, when we try to build up our stories of how things are
You
going
can
in the
see it.
library, you can kind of see it at one glance versus looking back at previous minutes.
good.
Good point, Chris. Thank you. Any other questions for Karen? Good, all right, we'll, move on to Friends of the Library, Sheila.
We're just all trying to get together to work on the book sale, which is coming together. We're gonna start increasing our meetings. We're still looking for donations for a couple of other things, for things like anybody has, crafting stuff that they wanna donate, you can just throw it in the bins. We'll sort it out and work with it that way, and we're still looking for, picks. These are special books we think people would like. If anybody wants to donate those and designate they are picks. I think that's what most of our time is being spent on.
What's the date on that?
Third, fourth, and fifth, it's the first weekend in May.
And how are we doing overall with like supplies and books and things like that? They're still coming in pretty well?
Seems to be coming in.
So it doesn't seem like the e-readers have.
That's either that, the e-readers are cleaning up their houses, because
Yeah.
we still get a fair amount of very strange things and very, very.
Not me, I still haven't got my stuff here yet.
Yeah, I mean, we had last week we had a diary sort of somebody, in a very, very old loose leaf binder of their classes on how to be a model, in a school somewhere in the 1950s.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not sure anybody would want it, but, we just sort of all looked at it and
It's interesting.
yeah, I mean, we get an incredible amount of interesting stuff.
Good, good. Welcome, we're in the library board meeting.
Yes.
Okay, so you're where you are, okay. And we'll have public participation coming up at the end if you have things that you want to interject.
what coming in?
Public participation, so if you had questions or anything on that.
So I shouldn't be here now?
No, you can be here now
Okay.
and listen in, but at the end, we'll actually ask if you have questions or anything.
Thank you.
At the end of it. Okay, thank you for coming. Okay, so we'll move into, questions for Sheila? Go ahead.
One quick question. Are the Friends meeting this Wednesday?
Yeah,
Okay, I'll be attending. It's cool.
Get that down in your head.
6:30.
He's gonna be at that
The
meeting.
last time I came, I was a couple minutes late. I had to be at work, but I'll be here on time.
Super. Thank you. Okay, any other questions for Sheila regarding Friends? No? Any online? Okay, so we'll go into committee reports, budget,
That's me, but
That's you.
all I have to offer is that on the, I believe it's the 23rd, like Saturday, we are up for consideration because the town manager submits it to the council tomorrow night officially, and then it's up for them to review, and then they review to the pieces. Our piece of the review is on the 23rd.
hopefully sometime in the morning.
I don't see a time listed so far. I think
Starts at 9 and always
but we're gonna
maybe
take
ends
us.
at 12.
Yeah, last year was.
Somewhere in the center, if I
Okay,
remember
yeah, I think
correctly.
we're 1, 2, 3, fourth down. We're after Health, Human Services, Senior, Disabled, then Library.
Okay, and,
And that's in the council chamber.
got the room from 9 to 12, or you're there until that?
9 to until it ends.
Yes.
For us, but I mean, obviously, if the library comes, it's just been mentioned in that particular order, so. You
And
won't
then,
be
and then the
last.
determination
I
goes
don't-
through, and then it's April 16th is is adopting of the budget, so
Yes.
that's all I have on the budget.
Anything else? Questions from anybody? No on the process? Great. PEP, planning evaluation and policy meetings, Pauline is not here. I know that we had a couple of emails going around from different policies and we've talked about them. We seem to have our documentation up pretty well when it comes to the books or the disruptive behavior and things like that.
Diane, I did have a question on that, because part of that is the library director's, form or evaluation form, yeah. Now, who does that get sent out to? Because it wasn't clear to me, I guess,
So, when we talked about the evaluation form, it was what we had filled out from last year,
Okay.
being compiled. So the chairperson of PEP will compile the results. The people that fill out the forms would be us.
Oh, okay.
Board of Trustees. So she'll be distributing that soon. We'll go through. When that comes out, we'll go through the form a little bit, but we have key areas that we like to evaluate, the director of the library on. And then there's a scale, and then there's also an open comments section. So, now that you've been here for a while, you see how things work. You're a little bit more behind the scenes, knowing what's happening as I look at the newest members of the board. So we'll go through that, and then it's compiled, and then a letter is written. And I know that we've done the compilation, and the last letter, I think months ago, maybe I signed the letter, which is just an overview of the score. So the individual, evaluation sheets
Yeah.
do not get, sent, but because the library director reports to not only the town hall manager, but also to the board of directors, that's our letter that goes to the town hall manager that says, you know, this is our evaluation of the director for the last year. The director also gets a copy of our letter.
Okay.
And we don't normally, I mean, if we have issues that we feel that we need to work with our director on, we'll go through and do that. If, they're questioning something about it, we can go back to the forums and kind of go through, but it's not like, oh, Diane said this about me, oh, Iris said that about me, right? It's not that kind of thing. It's, but it is, you know, generally, put through and maybe it's, you know, the director's strengths are these, we would encourage the director to work more in this area, you know, based on the feedback, that comes in. And then our overall, you know, we think the director is doing a good job and, you know, are looking to go forward. Or if we were ever to think that a director was not doing a good job, again, we have to work with the town hall and or the town manager and say, you know what, this isn't working for us. How's it working for you? What are we doing? How do we go through, just like any employee, right?
Yeah.
How do you go through? But, the director of the library, fortunately or unfortunately, have two bosses, right? The town manager and the board of trustees.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, but technically, that job is no different than the, you know, the director of the senior center, Parks and Rec, or anything else like that. It's just, they only have one boss.
Okay. Thank you.
So that's what that feedback is about.
We're very lucky to have a diplomat as president.
I practice. Thank you. Thank you for those kind words.
You can pay me afterwards.
Any other questions on PEP or any of those policies? I don't want to rush just because Pauline's not here. Online, nothing. Okay, investment, Neil?
Yes. I sent out the monthly report earlier today, and if you had a chance to look at it, we had another good month in, February. We finished the month with our portfolio value at $781,696.36. So for the month, we were up, to take everything, we were up, 16,000. No, that's not. $12,865.59. That's what the portfolio increased in value. And income that represents, dividends or anything might have sold with the cash. So, the total is more like a little over 13,000 as to what we gained in money. And, but again, though, it was another good month, January, February month, and, everything is looking very good now. I mean, the market is on kind of roll. Bull market right now.
Keep it up.
Every 2 weeks, it's a 52-week high now. 50, splitting with that. 52-week high.
So whatever you can do to keep that going.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. You know, I don't.
That's what you do, that's your takeaway from this meeting.
We are next to the dean spot, because I mean, I'm just the messenger.
Yeah.
He's the one with the brains. It doesn't.
No, we're very lucky to
So it's
have.
good to work for somebody that has brains.
Yeah. So did you reach out
It's
and
easy to
find
make reports.
a time for a meeting for the committee?
Oh, yeah, I did. I contacted Dean and, he got back to me. He proposed some dates in,
We put out an email?
yeah, the email, from the email. And I should discuss this with the investment committee too.
Yes.
But April 10th, April 17th, May 8th, May 15th. But I'll coordinate with the investment committee via email and decide what date works best for us. Yeah, I won't go over it here.
Yeah, okay, so send that out to the committee and.
So I'll be emailing you and, we'll come up with whatever date seems best. I mean, just look at the dates. I don't see anything, there's nothing I have a conflict with, but anyway, I'll take care of that via email to the investment committee.
Super.
And, well, that's it. Another good month. And so. And for
We're
more,
very lucky. We're very lucky to have intelligent people
Oh.
to tell us what to do with our money.
well, exactly. And that's all, big, thank you to the team.
Absolutely.
Super. All right, thank you, Neil. I'll just look up on the screen, no comments from the screen, okay. House committee, Diane. So I did not send out the committee report. There have been some things that have been going on. It's basically the same, but really, the big thing is that Carolyn did send out the work orders to, the town, grounds. I always want to say parks and grounds, but grounds. And Clay wrote back that many of the spring cleanup items he already has on the calendar. You know, the way that we do it is we send in a work order to the town. He's got those work orders. And so then I sent him a thank you note and I said, remember, our race is in May 19th. It would be great if we look great, right? Just for timing of that. But, you know, the thought is that this is the time of year where there's so much work to be done, but it's nice to have the reminder in front of them. So that if they're like, I've got half a day now because something else didn't go according to plan, how can we do this? So whether it's cleaning the beds, you know, replacing plants, it's a little too early to trim the arborvitae yet, but those kinds of things is what we put work orders in for. And Clay from the Newington Grounds Department is lovely to work with. And he just, you know, right away he responded and said, yes, I have them. I've seen them. They're on the schedule and, you know, we'll work accordingly. So that's great to have it. And then the other things that are still outstanding would be lamps and curtains, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna Well,
get there.
I can tell you this on the curtains, and I have tried to connect with Dave. Dave was gonna do some measurements for me, because in terms of how we place the drapes, we have fabric that we're gonna use from the chairs from the main area. I can use that fabric, which will save some money. We do have to get new fabric for these two. But looking at the setup, I have to confirm hardware before I sew something.
Right.
So Dave was gonna do that, but he and I seem to be doing this. So once I get that settled, we can start. And the other potential is that he might not be able to put the hardware in. It might have to be facilities.
Okay.
So I might have to add another step to that. But I just need to get the proper, what we can do in those spaces, and then I can make them, and then we'll figure it out.
Regarding lamps, Dan, I think in the meeting minutes, there was something mentioned about that Lisa was gonna talk to someone. I know she's out on leave right now, but I didn't know if anything had come out of that, of finding someone for lamps. Because there was just mentioned about her meeting with someone to talk about it, or.
I don't know who she was meeting with. I was, I went around floor to floor stores and Christine, Shushan had suggested that if I go to Connecticut Lighting, sometimes if you see something that you like and you look on the manufacturer's website, you can find similar or things,
Okay.
more reasonably priced. And, you know, we're trying to find that perfect zone between a sturdy, good-looking lamp
Yeah.
that is reasonably priced. And that's our, I can find you one or the other. I don't seem to be able to find, you know, the sturdy floor lamps, and we're only looking for 3 of them, but again, it would be nice to have them.
Diana, I think what you're referring to is,
Okay.
we met with Rob, Romay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, who we had
Thank you,
did the
Chris.
upholstery, he's gotten our furniture for us.
Okay.
And he really didn't have much in the way of lamps for the library. But Lisa did ask and we
Okay.
talked about it.
As I said, I just have the note from.
Yeah,
us talking
that's-
about it. Okay.
No, you're right, I forgot that part. And, oddly enough, the furniture stores don't carry a lot of lamps or don't have them on display, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
lamp lighting stores do, and you can go online and look, you know, forever. But, the stores don't. And I don't know the last time anybody bought a floor lamp, but, oh my gosh. So that's the update on the, House Committee. Again, you know, that list that we have is from the walkthrough, so we'll start to pick up all those things that were in a pending mode because of weather on the outside. Inside of the library continues to look good, with Dave doing the pickup work as he can, you know, the small, almost daily maintenance, you know, that we have around here. That's it, unless anybody else has questions? No. Okay, anybody online? Facility and site, Maureen Lyons.
Hi, I had a very interesting meeting with James Krupensky, town clerk, to get the exact protocol for how one would go about presenting information for a referendum. So it was an education. First of all, he cleared up the issue about the existing library renovation committee that has been on the books since 2015. That committee is still in effect. It was never disbanded and it won't be disbanded. Let's just say everything goes according to Hoyle. This committee starts meeting, we develop our presentation, we go to the town, they say, good, you're going on the referendum. The referendum says, yay, we're going to build a new library. Then this existing committee gets disbanded and everything goes into the new building committee that the council has created. That's down the road a piece. Before that happens, I don't know if any of you remember Jeff Barron. He has since retired from the town, but he handled all the minutes and agenda items, et cetera, et cetera. He was our town representative for the library renovation committee meetings. And the person who has taken his place is Lauren Rhines, Rhines. I just got her phone number today. My homework for tomorrow is to reach out to her, and she will have to reach out to all the existing committee members to see if they're still interested, and then call a meeting, depending on what happens. Right now, Leanne and I are the library representatives. That doesn't have to be, that could change. Newell Stam was a citizen representative, and he subsequently became the chairperson. Then there are 2 representatives from the council, and it's Kim. At this moment, it would be Kim and Dave Nagel. And then there were 2 other citizen folks who no longer, there's 2 openings in effect. If everybody stays in place, we still have 2 openings. But that is something that, Lauren will have to, she'll determine that. And then the library can determine who the representatives are, if we keep the same people or add, switch it up. And then, people from the town would have to be appointed. Kim and or Dave, is that by the council? The other people?
Probably one, one Republican.
Mhm.
There's lots of head nodding and agreement with that
Yes.
statement.
Head nodding, okay.
Yes.
So I thought that was very interesting. The presentation that we make to the town council in, asking for the, to be put on a referendum for a library expansion, that has to actually come from that library renovation committee. It doesn't obviate the board's participation or input, and the board, obviously, our work would continue on the presentation, but it's not Diane Stam representing the board of directors going before the council. It would be whomever the representative is from the library renovation committee. So that was something I thought that was interesting. It would have to come from that area. So we do have our work cut out for us. I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. Laura, Lisa was an ad hoc member of that committee as well, correct?
Oh, yeah. Well, Lisa would be as the
Oh,
library
well,
director, but
ad
no
hoc.
voting.
Right, right.
Yeah, we're essentially talking about voting members. So I think we don't have to start and invent the wheel. We have an awful lot of information, but we do need to make a decision as to what kind of presentation we're going to do and how we're going to get it across. Obviously, first to the town council and then to the other stakeholders. We do have to have an architect on record, and it was recommended that when we do present to the council that this architect be at that meeting and or those meetings. Now, right now, the architect we have through LDS is Andrew Berman, and he has done all the work, the renderings that we have so far. I would say he would be the person that we would continue to use. But if the expansion is approved, everything then has to go out for bid. So the people we have in force right now wouldn't necessarily be the folks on record, whether it's architect, construction management, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to contact this Lauren Rhines tomorrow, urge her to get in touch with the existing committee quickly, find out where we're at. And then in the meantime, my question to the board is, should we continue to meet as a facility and site committee and we would be the liaison to this committee and essentially be doing the work. And I know, Chris, you had questions about that. You didn't know from the email I sent if we would be disbanding the facility and site committee, and I say no. Are there any thoughts?
So the facility and site committee in itself is a standing committee on the board, so
Right.
that will always be there. What we do with the project, I think, because of library additions and renovations committee, has not really met and been a part of all of our changes. I almost think that we, the board / facility committee, need to make a presentation to the LARC, the Library Additions and
Right.
Renovations
Right.
Committee, and get their feedback, see what's going on, so that they're comfortable making that presentation to the town council.
Okay, so that's,
I have a couple of questions.
I agree with that, Diane. What I will do tomorrow, obviously, I'm gonna call Warren. I will send an email to the Facility and Site Committee, but invite, as always, the entire board to participate and see if we can get a meeting together. So we can have something to present to this library renovation committee. And Diane, you said Lark, it was the library,
Additions and renovations committee.
library addition.
Additions and renovations. Yep. And there were a couple of questions in the room. I've got Anna and Leanne.
Yes.
Mostly mine's a question, with a comment. When we were up and going at the onset of this, the facilities committee didn't, it wasn't like we were part of, we were at the LARP meeting, though members did attend, even though they weren't on the committee. I think that it was critical that the board stay very much involved as to what the needs of the library are, so that the two representatives who are on that committee are putting those forward. So I don't think it's a case of stepping back, it's just our role changes a bit. But we should still be very much an integral part as the board.
Oh, absolutely. The board has to be, they're the key representation on this committee.
Right. Anna, you had a question?
I do, so, and I understand the makeup of the LARC. Two of the people that were on LARC, one, the citizen appointees, one was Laurel.
Right, and the other was Sylvia, Steve Sylvia.
Oh,
Yep.
oh, yeah.
And he resigned because he went on the board of ed.
And then did Laurel resign officially as well?
That's what
I
we're
think-
finding out.
I think
believe
she
so.
did. I think that James mentioned that she had sent a letter. But
So,
we'll
and
verify.
so how do we, how do those vacancies get filled now?
Well, that was my question.
Vacancies get filled by the town.
The
Okay.
town,
It's a library renovations
Right.
committee. And again, we've got two board members. We have the ad hoc director. We have, and then we have so many citizens, if you will.
there would be, it was three, Diane. So Newell,
So it was
Steve,
Newell,
and Laurel.
and Steve.
Three, plus the two library reps, and then ad hoc representation,
Right, the town council liaisons.
and the town
So-
council liaison.
Would the town put a notice out somehow or something?
I don't know
Saying
what
that-
their process is. You know, one of the things, just, you know, anecdotally that James and I discussed was, you know, the whole atmosphere in the town about it's hard to get people to serve on any kind of committee. You know,
Yeah.
both the Republican and the Democratic town committees they don't seem to have the
I'm
pot.
saddened that Laurel, you know, for whatever her reasons are, had to resign from that as well because she was.
With her expertise,
Her background was perfect. A
But I
perfect
don't-
fit.
Dave, you
I
had a
don't
comment?
think she's interested, but we'll see.
So Dave has a comment.
Yeah, I
Yes.
believe that either was for citizens, the town committees each appointed one, or the town manager. I have a feeling it was the town committees that appointed
I
one.
think the town committees appoint them, and then
Yeah.
once the committee has its members, they vote for the
And
president.
then they get, like,
Chair.
other
Council
things, they
approves.
get included officially by the council. And then,
But it doesn't, it's not an even Steven thing, so we have to check on that. So for instance, there were three, it's not one Republican, one Dem,
'Cause it's
and
three
then there's
people.
a third person. Is it two and one, you know? I don't remember how that worked, Dave.
I don't believe it was by party, it was three people
Yeah.
from the public.
3 people from the public.
But not
And not
party
by
related,
party. Not by party.
but was the
Anybody
party,
from-
were the parties consulted?
Like, that's how they,
Either way.
that's how they advertise the role
best
through the
served
parties,
Yeah.
essentially.
Right.
Right.
For good or for evil,
Right,
that's.
right, that's how they got the communication.
Right, the town
Yeah.
council will appoint or find folks that are.
Think-
And vote on it.
But that doesn't preclude us from, or from someone coming forward and saying they wish to serve.
Right.
Well,
So
according to
that's true.
James, Leanne, if you and I continue,
Democrat.
and
Yeah.
Newell says he will continue, and we have the 2 council reps,
Yeah.
that's enough people to meet and vote.
It's enough people to vote, but it's better to have more input as well as representation
I
from.
understand that, Leanne. I'm saying in an interim,
Oh, yeah, we can do
before
that.
other people are appointed, we still have the
Oh, absolutely.
wherewithal to meet with the numbers that we have. But we don't have. So I will
Any
call Lauren tomorrow. I will send the email. And somebody must have a magic wand where we could just put the fabulous presentation together.
He has a question.
Hmm?
I don't know if he has the one, but he has a question.
No,
We'll bring it
This
in.
is really a follow. Anna asked my question, but according to the email you sent out, there are 2 vacant town positions on this committee.
At
They're
the
still
moment,
vacant.
yeah.
Right, no. And I'm still not sure how we go about filling those 2 vacant town positions, what the process is, or, well, I assume we're gonna add the 2 positions, or you did mention that we
So
can vote.
the town council.
It would be the town that would appoint them.
Town council does that?
Town council's gonna put on notice,
Yes.
and we need 2 vacant.
We'll look for the citizens.
Just regular souls who aren't affiliated.
And Colleen's on.
Okay, because we got, yourself and Maureen for the library board.
Unless they step down or somebody else would like to be
Or you,
participate.
right.
Dave, Jim's town council. Newell, if that's willing.
And
He's
Newell,
one of
if,
those.
you know, I don't know
He's
if Newell is still
I mean, he's one of
interested.
three.
You would know he's willing.
No, I don't.
You would know more than anybody. Yes, I wasn't really clear on where the 2 vacant positions come from, but I think you kind of explained it. And I have another question. This is just probably more easily addressed to Dave. What's the threshold in this town as far as above dollar level requires a referendum vote? You know,
We're at that level.
Yeah.
oh, I know, yeah, I'm curious what
I don't want to be held to this amount, but I think it's over 1 million or 1.5 million.
I thought it was something like, that's low. I mean,
What was the number that,
I know we're way beyond it, so I know that, I just want to find out information, I want to know what the cutoff is. 1.5, 2, something like that,
Yeah.
okay, that's kind of what I thought.
But don't hold me.
No,
But I
no.
believe it's, because I know there are other projects that have come along and have been able to put them forth because they didn't meet the threshold, and I believe it was like 1.5. Then so the town was able to do it with funds and elsewhere without having to go to a referendum.
Okay. So I was just thinking,
The budget for the town.
probably a year and a half ago, some members of the board, went to the American Library for a presentation on their expansion. And I think their expansion project cost was $10 million. And as in Mary, the threshold of
Yeah, they have a higher
$10
threshold.
million. As long as it already agrees, boom, they go with it. No vote for referendum. And I knew this town was lower. I wasn't sure how much lower. But, and I don't know, I mean, we can't debate that here. But I wonder if it makes sense to think about raising the threshold by what requires referendum. That's just a general comment.
Yeah. Go to town council
That has
meeting.
nothing to do with this.
Anna, you had a question?
Well, I have a statement. Andy sent me a message. He's still in Cartagena. His Zoom is not working, and so he can't connect, and he asked me to ask 2 questions, and basically I've already answered one. And Maureen answered the other one, he was wondering why a meeting hadn't been called already, because Maureen said at the last meeting she was calling a meeting, but that's water over the dam now.
a facility meeting, but not the LARC meeting, right?
Right, the facilities meeting. And then and he did not understand the positioning of people. I think he thought that because Laura was on the board, she was a board representative to, I know, she was so I explained to him that at the time, Laurel was a citizen appointment, to that committee, but he is interested in being on that, on the LARC. If anybody wants to shift around.
I was thinking the same thing.
I'm here now, if you can hear me.
Library
Oh, you're here.
representative.
Ah,
there you go.
Surprise.
Oh, he
I just got here.
There you are.
Timing is everything.
So we have 2 library board positions on that, LARC committee. So if there are more people that are interested, we'll take that under consideration, take it offline, and we'll have the board vote
Right.
like we did.
Is there a max amount of people that would be on?
Yeah.
No, but in total, like in total?
Yes.
Is there, oh, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
something
Oh,
like 5.
To make up, it's 7.
7.
Oh, 7 with the 2 town.
Right, yeah,
Committee
okay.
liaisons.
But there is a makeup in terms of it's the 2 town reps.
Right.
However, they do from the town council,
Mhm.
their representation, 2 from our board. And so therefore I can't step away and say, okay, I'm not gonna do it from the board, I'll be a citizen because there'd be a conflict. I can't do that.
Right.
So we can't have 4 of us there for 2, fill in 2 library members from the members of the public, even though they are members.
Essentially, the 3 vacant positions are would be filled by non-board members.
Correct.
Did you get all that, Andy?
I did, thank you.
Okay.
And earlier in the meeting, Andy, I said, and I don't know how this is gonna play out. Right now, Leanne and I are the town, library representatives, but that could also change.
All right, so Neil, you expressed an interest, Andy has expressed an interest.
Oh, I was. I was looking at Andy, not me.
Oh, okay, so Andy, you would
I'd be
You would
over
like
my
to
head.
represent the library on this board, right?
Yeah, I'm
Like
not looking to
committee.
pop anybody off. I misunderstood. I thought that Laurel had been a library appointee, but
No,
now I
she
understand
wasn't a
it
board
predated.
member at
Okay.
that point. Right.
When Lark went dormant, we got her on the board.
Yeah, we pulled her in at that point. Okay, so,
I just want to make one comment.
yes,
I feel badly that we didn't have the correct information about the committee.
the
know,
referendum, how to move forward to the
I
referendum.
think we
and
were
then-
all under the impression that Lark was not in existence anymore.
No, that was never the case.
Well, it was a case where we were in limbo and we've
It
been
was
back.
an
burner.
existence.
Well,
so-
limbo and yeah, it still was not explained. And I brought that up to James. I said there was not good communication about how the whole process worked. I mean, we went into abeyance when the town hall was being built, but it still wasn't explained. So there were a lot of questions, but now we know.
Are Kim or Dave at the meeting?
Pardon me?
Are Kim
Are what?
and
Yes, Dave is here.
Kim's there? Okay. Maybe they can explain what's going on with the Permanent Building Commission.
Right, so we went through that, a little bit earlier, but.
Okay,
David, you
I'm
wanna give
sorry.
a quick synopsis?
I have to be careful, not because of anyone here. Tomorrow night, if I understand correctly, because I already got the agenda for tomorrow night, there is a
Tomorrow night at the town council.
a resolution possibly about looking at the central new building committee, and I'll use the word tweaking it.
Okay.
At the previous town council meeting, I had said, why do you want to do this or get around it, which one council person said for another project, when you haven't even tried it and you look at all the things that have gone to come to this position and to make it a building committee where politics doesn't come in to the factor as much as possible, where it's truly, the need is there and it needs to be done. And part of the reasoning was when we did a study of all facilities in town, which you may remember, some of the
900
projects that were felt need to be done were not as sexy as others, like the town garage is something that the populace wouldn't see needs to be repaired as much as the library. So there's a whole process to it. So I had thought they'd come to realize that this wasn't one party or the other pushing it, it was a plan to make things move more efficiently, yet still let the public come to every meeting, and there would be public hearings and so on. So at any rate, there's this resolution plan that is put forth to possibly tweak it, which I had said previously, if you do this, that's gonna delay the process. And then those that want things done for a referendum, well,
Okay,
you've
so
heard,
tune into the town council meeting tomorrow to see the latest.
to see what's
on-
going to happen
What thoughts are
with
with that?
that or not. And then there's another project that doesn't come to referendum amount that wants to be put forth and they want to put forth a committee that does things the previous way for this one special thing. I'm not saying it's good or not or whatever.
Right,
But
they want it as a consideration to do it that way.
This would be a
That's-
newly established.
yes, so
Dave.
that's the question that comes.
So
That's
Dave,
fine.
this is Maureen. My question is, the committee, the building committee, Joe Harpy, Alan Bongiovanni, and Thomas Gill right now,
Mhm.
are they doing anything? Are they involved in either of the school renovations or anything, or are they in limbo as well?
They have not been called to meet because they cannot function as a committee unless someone from the town, and I'm assuming it's Lauren, who you're going to contact, calls for that committee to meet. And then if they have a quorum, which they have, they don't have a full number, but they have a quorum, then they can begin to function.
So any of the existing building projects are being handled by committees like a LARC,
It
independent?
was supposed to be up until the Anna Reynolds Committee was supposed to be the last one to be done through that process.
Okay.
Timing's
Thank you,
everything.
Dave. But I think the part that Dave didn't say was that there's also, or maybe I didn't hear it, is that there's also another resolution to establish a John Wallace Middle School committee. To
Yeah,
actually rescind the previous one and establish a new one. And
Yeah, I didn't want to get in the middle of that because I didn't want to mention,
He didn't mention the committee by name.
I didn't mention
Right.
by
Oh,
name.
okay.
Purposely. I didn't because I didn't want to get to the whole thing. Well, there's this department and that department and so on. It's vitally needed. That renovation. So I'm not disagreeing with you, but I didn't mention it so we wouldn't get into a
okay, but
conflict about
to be able to
who's
speak
what,
to
what,
Maureen,
what.
there's every reason to believe that we can continue with LARC.
Yes.
And that LARC will follow all the way through. I don't think there's any reason for LARC not to meet and begin its work and do all the things that it needs to do, because this current council doesn't seem to want to use the Permanent Building Commission. They're looking at, I guess they're going to review the ordinance and tweak it and whatever, but that's a whole long process to change an ordinance.
Well, regardless of what happens, according to what James told me, if this building commission becomes a reality, so to speak, once we have gotten permission to go to referendum, we, the library, he said at that point, the, authority would be turned over to that permanent building commission. And
I would
that's
not,
when
I
Lark,
wouldn't, I
I
automatically
lost you.
happen, given, this new wrinkle of reviewing
Right.
the permanent building commission.
Right, but if
That's
it,
right.
if it comes to
In
be,
very short term, Lark is in effect, and we will be working with Lark to make the presentation for the town council to be able to move forward on this process. What
right,
happens?
and whatever happens, yeah,
Will depend on where they are, from the town council side of things in terms of setting up those committees. So I think everybody understands that process of what's going through?
Sounds
Okay,
good.
is there a particular question on this?
No.
Okay, then we can.
Lark stays in existence until we get to project ready, and then whatever the status of the permanent facility.
but would, my question is, would Lark wouldn't be the building committee then?
I know, it's-
Well,
it's-
depending on the
Very well
facility,
could.
Or would they, Andy?
Don't
They,
know.
it very well could.
I will say this, I've been on several building committees and I've worked in construction for many years, so I've been on the side of the contractor dealing with building committees for municipalities. What's key to having a good building committee, whatever they call it, however they configure it, is not just people who, and I don't mean to be insulting, but I'm not politically correct. You don't want people who just mean well. You want people to understand the building process. So it's key
Right.
that you have people who not only understand the needs of whatever the facility is, whether it's schools, libraries, garages, whatever. You need people who have that understanding, but you also have to have people who understand the building process. Architects, contractors, et cetera, and I'm not talking about the hired individuals, I'm talking about the people who understand building trades, who are on the committee, so that they understand the decisions when you make a change or whatever else, or funding is changed and they have to shift and use, value engineering or whatever. It's critical that the people who are on that are not just there because, and again, I'm guilty of it.
Because they're passionate about.
Right. I mean, I was a PTA mom who was behind all the schools, but I also have some construction background. It's critical that the people on the committee understand what they're contemplating. That's.
I just wanted to address what you said, as far as what you said.
Well,
The chairman of
you know,
the Newell stand, he
Absolutely.
gets a lot of knowledge in construction. The Anna Reynolds Renovation Committee is chaired by Steve Woods. I think he's an awful lot of things doing. That committee's doing performing very.
Oh, I'm not saying that one America
I
goes
don't like it.
better, I'm just saying is that it's important that we have it.
So we're not at a point now where we're making any other decisions than we've already talked about. I think we've covered our questions. It's 8:25.
Yeah.
So I want to keep moving through the agenda unless there's a serious question or issue that needs to be resolved tonight on this. Looking at the
Thank
screen,
you.
no? Thank you. So next, committee is fund development with Anna. Eddie, thank you.
Hi, the last month I said I wanted to call a Zoom meeting and between lost, dropped messages or, anyway, I didn't call a meeting, but I have everybody here tonight and, I still would like to call a Zoom meeting this month. I've got 3 dates here and I can do a show of hands because it's an open meeting. I want to review, the status of fund development, where we stand, how our ideas have worked over the last year or two, and open to suggestions from anybody on what we can do better to improve, you know, recurring gifts and the whole ball of wax. Not just recurring gifts, but also library champions. We've got a lot of good stuff out there. I don't know why it's not sticking to the wall. So, I got, March 20th, which is a Wednesday, March 21st, which is a Thursday, or Tuesday, March 26th.
What are those dates again?
March 20th,
Which is a Wednesday.
Wednesday, Thursday, March 21st, and Tuesday, March 26th.
Do you have a time?
7 o'clock.
Okay.
I can do 21 or 26.
Sorry?
I can't do the 20th. but I could do the other. two.
Okay,
And you have a room, or it's Zoom, so
we're
we don't need a
doing,
room,
yeah,
that's fine.
I think any day work for me.
okay. So
I'm retired.
I really would like Leanne to be there, so we're down to the 21st and the 26th.
Yeah, I can do either of those.
I can too.
I'll have to look at my schedule, I don't have it in front of me. I'll see if I can.
Well, you come to a meeting without your schedule.
Kids and all those, parents, they're all scheduled.
In our family, if it wasn't on the refrigerator, it wasn't.
Chris just said 26 was better for him, but we'll see.
26 is better.
Or George, I'm sorry, Chris said, I'm sorry, thanks, Joe.
All right,
Chris
so
said
I'll
you
put
had to
I'll
check
put
with the
it,
kids.
I have to check, but I can get back.
I'll put a star on the 26th, Tuesday, March 26th.
I said the wrong thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
Seven.
yeah.
Anything
and
else to cover this evening?
No, that's it. Everything else I have comes under Hanel and,
Okay. Good, communications, Fiona?
Yes, hi. Sorry, I'm just adding
It's all right.
them. So Anna and I are meeting with Mark Janey next Thursday, the 21st, to work on a story for Newington Life on the Ways to Give campaign. I actually have to book space in the library. Get a call.
Wait, when do you need it for?
March 21st, Thursday, March 21st at 1 PM. And it's just 3 of us, so we could even just use the study room.
Use the study.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can call tomorrow.
Okay,
Do you want me to call you?
Yeah.
Okay.
thank you.
So it's going to, we'll have more logistics after next Thursday and I can send an email, but, the idea is that it will come out in the issue that comes out ahead of the race. So it'll talk about the race as well as, and, Anna was great. She found was it 5 years ago?
5 years ago.
They did a story and they did
Cover.
have a cover and there was a photo, you, Lisa, Diane, and at that time, the chair of the Friends, Natalie. And so we could
That was
sort
the
of,
80th anniversary, wasn't it?
yeah, and so now, right, so the timing is great, so,
Some of that stuff could actually be reworked.
yeah,
Yeah, nobody's gonna remember what we said 5 years ago.
right, and I read it through and, yeah, I mean, a lot of it was kind of things that don't really change, but then highlighting the new capital council and things like that, and, Mark seems very excited about doing it, so.
Good, great.
Hopefully we'll have more info after we meet with them next Thursday.
Yeah.
As far as like publication timeline and if photos need to happen or anything like that. And that's all I have on communications. I don't know if anyone has questions about that.
Looking on the screen, anybody online? No? Okay. In the room? No, thank you for doing that, that would be nice if we could get that big article in there. Kudos to you for finding the older stuff, because it's always easier, I think, to recreate,
Yeah.
this.
I was cleaning out the
Look like
drawer
we
and
recreate.
there it was.
Oh, wait, was it a hard copy?
I have a hard copy of
Oh my
it.
God. Oh, you do? Oh, you sent me the link to that,
But
right?
it's archived. They have.
Yeah. Yeah, it
All
was
their,
really
all their
helpful, so.
issues are archived now, so you can just find it online.
Mhm.
Okay. Good, any other questions for Fiona on communications? No? Okay, race committee, so we had our meeting earlier, but one of the things, that's really up for the board discussion is the sub item here. We were contacted after our website went up, or our registration opened up, to see if we could add another category, an age category for 80+. And then the other, request was for a non-binary category. So I had sent an email out to, the race registration folks and some of the, officers of the club to say, hey, can we do this, what's going on? And I'm gonna summarize and say that the initial reaction is that the library is an inclusive place and we'd love to do that. The second reaction is, okay, if we're gonna do this, we've gotta do this quick because registration's already open and what are we gonna do? The third thing was, whoa, this is not gonna be as easy as we think. Registration's already in process. Let's talk about it, figure it out, and implement it for 2024. So what I would be asking, 25, thank you. Thank you, Neil. He's getting my number straight. He's like 25. So, really, what I need to ask the board, and maybe you don't have enough overall information, but, so our categories would be male and female by ages, and then a non-binary by ages, right? So that's another division in the race. We don't know how we're gonna, pull that off, what things we may have to do or not do for that. I will tell you that the general consensus of the people on the board, and I haven't hit the whole board yet, was that, yes, we wanna be inclusive, but we wanna be, thoughtful in how we approach this. I would open up for discussions, if anybody has any experience in this area or what goes on and how we might be able to plan it out. You know, we've been talking about diversity and some of the other things. One of the best statements I have ever heard about being inclusive in an area is that you don't only invite them to the party, you also invite them to dance when they're there, right? So we want to make sure that we're getting everything there. It's just not enough to put it on the form and say, hey, you know, we're doing this. We need to know what it involves and be able to support that. And I think that's why the people were saying, you know, right, could we roll it out for this year? Unfortunately, the request wasn't brought to our attention and we hadn't thought about it until after registration had opened and things were rolling along. So, I don't know, I'll open it up for general discussion and.
Yeah, so, this non-binary category is not a new thing. I did some research and Fiona did some research too, but I went on to some, went online to check out other races. A lot of them are already offering it. You know, I'm not involved in race registration like I used to be, so, you know, it just goes right by me. But now that we have that awareness, it's definitely something to consider. Fiona found a great manual that, covered all the aspects, and when we say, we don't wanna do a half-baked job, it's not just adding on another category for people to check off, it's also, you know, the markings on the doors for the restrooms. If we had porta potties here, all right, so those are, you know, you don't have to mark those, anybody goes. But when you have male and female on the doors, you need to put something on there that says this is.
Like sex or.
It doesn't, no.
It's not, that's an old fashioned way of
Yeah,
saying it, but yes,
it's not
yeah.
that, but it's, you know, this is an open, you know, open to anybody bathroom.
Gender neutral.
Gender, that's it, yeah, gender neutral. So, you know, and there's probably some other things in there, and like I said, I don't want us to do a half-baked job. Plus, like Kevin said, we're already up to close to 50 participants. I don't like going in and tweaking registration forms online once they're there, because every single one of them would have to be touched. And, you know, taking out the, you know, because it would mean adding a custom field onto the form. So any gender identification would have to be taken off of the current field and put into the new field. And, you know, I just don't like messing around. And the longer we go on, it just takes, it's, you know, it's becoming for me, it's becoming unrealistic. That's something that needs to be in place, you know, and then you have the issue of putting the announcement out there to the 50 people who've already registered. And, oh, by the way, we have now non-binary, or, you know, are you still gonna stay in the same category? Let us know if you're not, kind of thing. You know, but next year, I mean, we can do it with a lot of fanfare.
Well, I think that manual in particular, when I was looking through what you found, I think that we can take that, but what we have to do is, this race ends, and even before, but once this race ends, then we're starting the race committee. We can't wait till next fall.
We have to look at it in August.
We have got to get ourselves set up, because there, as you said, so many things are touched. Prizes, you know, awards, different categories, things as simple as bathrooms, and there's so many different things that when I was reading it, was eye-opening to say, oh, I never even thought of that. So.
Actually, I thought that the way it was set up, you know, it went beyond just explaining forward. You know, what we wanted to do. I mean, it can be a template for, you know, how to deal with things just within the library overall.
Right.
You know, and it also might be a consideration with the new building.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I mean, these are things that we have to look at, but I am of the mind that 2024, I agree, it's just, we can put the brakes on it for this year.
Yeah.
And look at this for doing it right next year.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead.
And the other thing too is making sure, because you're gonna have to set up training for volunteers as well for use of pronouns. Because that's gonna be another key thing of making sure, if you're referring to non-binary as they and them, versus he and she and everything, kind of getting everyone into that mindset as well.
Oh, no.
So I
I'm just
think,
saying that because I'm usually up at the table calling things out.
I think that, I thought the Hartford Marathon Foundation had a really good framework too. I also think that the guide that I sent out was very expansive, but, and I think helpful, like, thinking about the new library expansion. I think because we're a smaller race, I'm sure I think there are elements that maybe we don't, again, we can talk more about it,
Well, last year we had a recap for the race and after, I can't even remember if we had it right after or if we had it in August, but
yeah.
a couple weeks after. And I think that would be a good time to, bring up these things.
During the race, it would be a good time for us if we familiarize ourselves, and maybe we need to send that guide out to everyone. But be thinking about it, here it is, race day, how would we handle this? It would be good to, public participation.
I have just one question. My background is in math.
Okay, I'm sorry, public participation is at the end, so
Oh,
I
I'm
will
sorry.
bring you in, so remember your thoughts, because
Yeah.
we are very interested in it,
Okay.
but I've got to do this.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
So, that's okay. We will bring you in, believe me. But, even during the race day, as we're setting up, as we're doing things, jot it down if it's something that's like, oh, we've got to remember that we need to figure out how to handle this or how to handle that. The announcements, perfect thing, right? I wouldn't realize that until I had inadvertently, done it wrong.
I've had enough experience of corrections and trying to mentally, get yourself, prepared on that, so.
Right.
So I also do think that we need to figure out who's gonna reach out to the individual who asked, if we're doing that this year,
Right, so.
and talk
But
about,
the ask was not a direct ask.
No, I
it
know,
was
no,
my
I know,
friend of a
yeah.
friend, so
Yes,
we
yes.
reached out to the person that passed it along,
Mhm.
because we don't have the direct contact. And I don't think that loop has been closed with, can we, who is the person
Right.
that asked, if we can do this, can we work with them? Can we, whatever.
okay, I'm just saying, I think I regret not bringing this up sooner, having it be something we potentially could do for this, I was like, oh, this makes perfect sense, I don't know why, but I do think we need to figure out, maybe we determine if the person wants to be reached, and if not, then obviously we can relay the message. If they do wanna have a conversation, then I think we have to be open to that as well.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
So we don't have a particular name.
right, no, I know,
contact name.
yes.
So we went back to the person that brought it up,
Mhm. Yes.
and,
Is there a survey that gets sent out for the race? Like, after the race, like, oh, would you want to see more categories? What kind of categories would you want to see?
Wow,
I don't know, that I wanna open a category for somebody that races with a tabby cat as opposed to a tuxedo cat.
Right.
I mean, I'm being ridiculous in the extreme, but, and is it, one of the other options that was out there, I think, was, you could have just an other, and then because you can't categorize other, there would be no prizes for other. And I wasn't necessarily comfortable with that. I mean, you could, if you don't want to identify yourself as a 42-year-old male running, okay, fine, but you're not gonna get, you just want your number and you wanna run. That's fine, but you don't qualify for winning a prize because we don't know how to categorize you. So that's part of, if the prizes come in divisions, you need to go in a division, but you don't have to select a division if you don't care about a prize.
Okay.
But, a 42-year-old male is not gonna.
Those are the
be in
kind of
same
things
division as a
we need
12.
to sit and hash out, and I think reaching out to the other races that are doing this, maybe talking to someone saying, so how did this go?
Yeah.
And again, to the point, we don't have a, non-gender bathroom here. I mean, we sort of have the family, the small children family bathrooms upstairs. So then if we make those open, our library isn't open during the race. And we can't allow people, you know, the
Wander
300 plus family members that come in to roam through the library. So then we have to figure out, how do you do crowd control? How do you do the different things like that? If we bring in porta potties, do we need, you know, do we need permission from the town to set those up? Where are they set up? How's it set up? What's the additional cost to the race, right? Because this is a fundraiser, so, just, those are all just some of the things that are going through from that end, so, think about that, we'll send that guide out to everybody,
I thought
so.
everyone was on that, but I guess I was wrong, okay.
Probably was the whole
Sorry, I can
board.
send it out, yeah.
Because we were trying to figure out how to
Yeah,
do it
that's
before
right.
we could
That's right.
pass it out. And knowing that the board has to, approve changes to this, just like we'd have to approve a $50 check for something. You know, we wouldn't do that until this meeting or a meeting. So that goes on for the race. The request for the 80 plus was really easy. That's just another category that we can do. We had asked Kevin during the race meeting to check how many people really race in that category. If they're not a lot, that's the year I'm gonna run. So I can check my.
Might be able to walk in the, you know, with something.
Or lose. Who knows how many folks will be there at that time. So I guess at this point, should I ask for a vote from our board that we are going to investigate this with the idea of implementing it in 2025 for that race? Does that
Yes,
make sense?
Yes,
yes.
So, that motion?
I so moved.
Iris made that motion. Do I have a second? Leanne has her hand raised as a second. Any other discussion on this? And this is the, you know, to investigate with the intent of providing this as an option for the 2025 5K race. No discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
You're opposed?
No, she
was on, okay, it's on you. All right.
Well,
So it.
it's good that we had this conversation.
Wait a
because
minute, wait a
if
minute.
somebody-
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
Motion is approved unanimously. Thank you. Okay.
If somebody approaches us about, you know, why don't you have? It's under consideration for 2025,
Yeah,
you know.
that covers it well.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Like I said, there's more unknown than known, but, again, our intent is to be inclusive and to figure out how to do that, in a thoughtful manner. Okay, next up, Hanel event. And, you can see here that we have the event, for September 27th, locked in. Maureen had reached out and got confirmation on that with everyone, but I think Hannah and Maureen also did some more research for yet another Hanel event.
Yep.
Well, we want to get things. locked in.
Diane, before we leave Lynn and Vinny, is Karen still here?
Yes,
Karen, did you get the signed contract back?
no, I have not sent it out, Maureen, because I
Okay.
was gonna ask a question. Did you, well, I think I sent you and Anna an email back saying, I was suggesting 7 o'clock. And you guys asked about, you said you wanted to have an intermission. So I'm wondering how long, because this is detailed out in the contract. Did you want to start at 7? How long do you want the intermission to be? And how long do you want the program to be?
Well,
Um,
Lynn, they do a 2-hour program. That's what,
okay,
so I told her, I said, I wasn't sure if it was 6:30 or 7. Haven't we started earlier before?
No,
Or it's
No,
always
no.
7?
the Winterfest, we closed the lilibrary early.
The
to
price,
open.
the price
So-
that
so-
Lynn quoted us was for 2 hours.
Okay,
Obviously,
so
they would have to pay. So,
I don't know that we could get everything pulled together and moved and everything, closing at 5 and trying to start at 6:30. That's why I was saying 7.
Yeah,
7 would be fine, I'm sure.
Okay.
It's a 2-hour program, so just
Yeah.
send the contract out accordingly, and they take a break. You know, intermission, what, 15
So
minutes
let's-
maybe?
Let's play this out in terms of support from the board and, those employees that are kind enough to be here or have to be here to lock up and set security. So, 5 o'clock, the library closes, we start moving everything needs to be in place. Doors opening at 6:30, the, performers come in, set up at that point. I mean, they could come in earlier, the performers themselves, but people come in. We have the 2-hour program, it ends at 9, as long as everything adheres strictly to the timetable. Then we get people out, the, performers pack up, and we have to put the library back because we open up for business the next morning. Do we
So that's
still
no
want to?
different than what we've been doing.
I don't think they've been 2-hour programs. So, we're looking at a, 9:30, 10 o'clock evening, and then asking people to come back in the next morning. Is there an option to do a less than a 2-hour program?
like an hour and a half with a 15-minute intermission?
I don't know, I'm just saying,
I'll call in.
just see if there's, other options. I mean, it's not necessarily that we can't do it, but let's be aware of what we're asking the staff to do and our board members, right? This Hanel event is supported by board members, and that means board members' muscles. Right? And, set up, close up, stuff like that. We can't set this up and commit to an extended evening and then, leave with the band.
And then bail.
I'll reach out to Lynn. I personally think an hour and a half, that's kind of shortchanging the group, but I'll talk to Lynn.
I don't know if they have different setups, that's the thought.
Yeah, because there are 4 people. Well, find out. I mean, I told her, I said 2 hours, and she quoted a 2-hour amount for 4
Program.
people. It was $600.
Okay.
We can still give her the $600.
Right, for
I'll
that
talk to
hour
her.
and a half, or whatever.
Maybe the 2 hours includes the intermission for 15 minutes.
Yes, right. Oh, I was assuming it did.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong, but.
So we're also working on somebody for December. We reached out to one person who chose not to respond to my email, and in the meantime, I continued to do some research and came up with another, actually, I think a better option, right, Maureen? And the delightful tree, they performed in Manchester, and they did a very nice Christmas show in Manchester last year. So I reached out to them today, and so we'll see. We don't wanna.
Okay.
We're supposed to do 2 concerts a year. Our first one is September, so we need to get the other one in by the end of the year. And we're on a roll.
Good, okay. Good. Any other thoughts, questions for Hanel? Any ideas for other performers? Because we do this twice a year, every year. So even if it's not this year, it could be next year. You just remember, when you're out having fun, we can bring them here.
Well, keep in mind too, it doesn't have to be musical.
Grab their card, right? It doesn't always have to be musical. We've had, craft events. It has to be a cultural event. We've had craft events. We've had the murder mystery kind of.
But the other thing though too is that we have other funds that cover other things. So we have the sleeve of funds that cover the children's authors every year. The Friends are doing the Anita Wilson concert, which is more focused on family concerts. So, we don't really, not necessarily step on their toes, but we don't need to overlap in doing the same stuff that's already out there in terms of children and families, because those are already two special programs. And I was going to say, if anybody hears a very good, Celtic performance in the next couple of days, weeks,
Get the Celtic
grab their
women.
card.
That the Celtic women that were on TV the other night.
Yeah, well, I don't think.
We can't afford them.
Let's see if they can come for 15 minutes.
Yeah,
We might be able to afford it.
I was supposed to go to Michael Flatley go to the dance, like, they canceled the show. I don't know what's going on with Michael Flatley.
He probably broke his foot.
I didn't know he was still performing.
And maybe he's not, but like, they still call his,
Yeah.
his name is still
The
attached.
Celtic
They said
women
that he had
won.
to use his knee or his something.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine, yeah, it's tough on your knees to do that dance. Anyway, we can't afford them yet.
All right, so, we're good with Hano, we have something in the works, we're pretty sure that we've got Lynn and Vinny set up, we're just gonna try to figure out timing and things like that. At a perfect synopsis, then I will, move on to open board positions. They are the Republican Town Council appointed position, so if anybody knows anybody, we're always looking to fill board positions, for those areas.
How many,
And then-
Diane? 2 or 3?
Great.
Right.
Really?
Yep.
And if somebody knows somebody, correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, but they don't have to be a Republican, but they have to be nominated by the
Appointed
Republican.
by,
So all those unaffiliated people who don't exist. They could be, or even a Democrat.
Okay.
Hey, Dave,
All right.
who's the new Republican Party chair in Newington?
We have a temporary one who will be replaced by a permanent one, on, was it March 21st, I believe is when we have our official meeting.
who is the temporary?
So at the moment, Beth Delbuno is taking over temporarily until, the 21st. And then
And Dom
someone-
Payne resigned?
Yes,
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. New business, do we have any new business that didn't make it to the calendar? No? We're coming up on public participation, Okay, and, next is public participation. We have a gentleman in the audience for us. Could you give us your name
My name's Gary Boyce,
and your address?
14 Holly Street.
Great, thank you. Thank you for coming, and I know that you had some comments earlier. I'm hoping that you remembered them and.
Yeah, they're just kind of off the cuff. I have a brother-in-law who's 83, and he races in like Hartford. And he always wins because there's only one other person.
Good,
So
Well,
that's the humorous part.
you might have competition.
But just to, my degree is in that, it's in math and things like that. And I have an MBA and all that. But I'm just, when I see these things brought up, I always want to know the numbers. Like, how many people are in the race? Is it 100 or 500? If it's 500, you pick a category where no one's gonna show up, or just 1 or 2, they automatically win. So I'm not saying anything about non-gender or anything like that, but to me, it's the purpose. If you're a guy or a girl, you're running. For running, it doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl, you're either gonna win it or lose it. That's not a civil rights thing, it's just a thing. Also, the women's, I believe it's tennis, has just dropped the whole idea of having a third gender type thing. They just dropped it. This is news like yesterday. But from a mathematical point of view, and from just a practical point of view, you should just judge people on their physical abilities. It has nothing to do with your DNA. That's what the competition is. That's why for boxers it's by weight, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, something like running, I think men would almost always run faster than women. So you put them in different categories, and then you do that basically by age.
There's also subcategories by weight, and then too, like for Harper Marathon Foundation, they have like,
Athena and Clydesdale.
Clydesdale, so like over a certain weight. So I mean.
But they pulled themselves out of the general one and they put them in a special category, just as it would be for non-binary. It's a separate thing. You can't double dip and win in both categories.
Yeah. Well, my point is mathematically, you start dicing it up. Somebody shows up in one of these categories, I still give it to them. I went to Newington High School and I said, why don't we have a track team? So they had the first track team, I did the pole vault and the javelin. Guess what? The first time I threw a pole vault, the pole, first time I jumped, I set the school record.
Amazing.
I mean, come on.
It's still the
And
record.
guess what? I broke it a couple of times, both of them.
Wow.
So I'm just using a little math, using that common sense and saying, let's not get too crazy about dicing things up.
So we generally have, in terms of racers, we generally have between 250 and 300 people, depending on what's going on. COVID recovery years, or, whatever the weather is, that number can fluctuate either way, but that's what we have. You want to know approximately how many people race.
Yeah, well, then I just asked my brother-in-law to come down and he can win 80 over.
There you go.
Sure.
He would.
Have them come, have them sign up. It's on the website. Click and sign up.
We could have a big headline too, 83-year-old wins.
83-year-old breaks the course record.
Yeah. The other thing is if he signs up quickly, the first 200 get a free T-shirt, and it's the dry fit shirt.
That he can get a free T-shirt too.
Not that I'm advertising, but that's what happened. Did you
You
have
still
any?
sign up?
Yeah, you can always sign up. Go to the website.
I'll bet you.
Yeah,
Tom will get a free T-shirt too.
if he's in the first 200, that.
Yeah, it has to be in the first.
Yeah, we're at 47 now, so get the
We
number.
only have 47 people in the race?
We just started with the registration.
Oh,
Tell him to get it in there if he wants a free T-shirt.
okay. No, I will tell him.
It starts
60
slow.
bucks, right?
It starts slow and then it ramps up. What is our registration now? 20?
47,
I think.
No, what's the cost to register?
30 is day of.
30 is day of, I think it's
25.
25?
Oh, now I'm pulling up the website.
20 or 20.
Fiona's got it somewhere.
25 per person.
25 per person, 30 day of the race.
I'll call him the next day or so.
There you go. Did you have any other questions or comments?
Not really, I just wanted to attend because, I like organizations. And I don't think you understand enough about it by just showing up. Because every time I come to the library, I find something different. And also something I find that I would use.
We are right up there with popularity in the state of Connecticut. I think we're number 6 out of 169 towns.
With what?
For
Our
Services?
services, our stuff.
Well,
No, we're not, don't quote us.
Well, you don't know this, but I'm actually moved up from the Stanford area. And I'm like a bibliophile. I would go to Greenwich Library, Buchanan Library, Darien Library, West, all that. Just because they always had fantastic events in the evening that you couldn't get. I mean,
yeah,
better than anything you could ever see on TV or a government agency. So the libraries, to me, are the nerve center of the town.
Absolutely.
And they had, for kids and everything. Yeah, so I'm a bibliophile.
that's great. No, that's great. We love library supporters, people that love to use the library and see what comes through. Of course, the different towns have different funding levels as that goes through.
And I'm also your best friend.
Great. Friend of the library.
Need advocates, need advocates.
Super.
Yeah.
There you go, Sheila.
There you go. Want to volunteer?
Yeah, really.
I wanna see what it is first.
It's a book sale.
What's that?
A book sale.
Library for a book sale?
We have,
Yeah,
the friends volunteers.
Oh, that's unbelievable. The book sale is unbelievable.
We move books, we sort books, we,
Not me.
not you.
The friends are a huge support to the library.
Absolutely.
The board itself is, as Diane says, three-legged stool that holds up the library. The library is not a public entity. The library is Lucy Robbins Wealth Library, Inc., which is this board. However, the arrangement, when it was all set up 85 years ago, the town supports and maintains and grows us. They pay our bills in terms of our general expenses, operating expenses, staff, lights, maintenance, etc. But when it comes to the special stuff, the Friends are the ones who raise the money. 90% of our programs are put out by the Friends in terms of funding and in terms of all the other stuff, the collections and everything else, plus some of the nuts and bolts that have to happen in terms of improvements that the town isn't able to do fall on the library board.
Okay.
So fundraising, unfortunately, it's a necessary evil, but it's a critical part to what we do.
Well, I think if you give money to something, you participate in it. And just a little aside, the first book I ever took out was from this library. And the name of the book was Bombardier. I was like 7 or 8 or something.
And you remember that?
Yeah, I remember it. You know what I found out later? Bombardier, they had this black box and they would attach it to somebody's arm. And it would go into the bombers. And then the guy in the bottom would pull this up. And when they got open the target, that would transfer control to that box. It was 2 things. It was the first computer, first time a plane was flown by a computer. And the term black box came from that black box.
Oh, wow.
That's the book I read here when I was.
See what you learned from a book.
I remember it.
You just don't remember it, that's what's amazing.
But this place was a wonder to me. It was such a beautiful library, it's just the old library.
Yeah.
So I couldn't believe it when I first walked in. I just thought it was. I don't know.
And we're crowded again and looking for expansion, so it's good. I thank you for coming and spending your time with us. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very much appreciate it.
Gary, how is it that you spell your last name?
It's V as in Victor, U, J, S.
Thank you.
Would not have gotten that.
Thank you for asking, because we would not have been able to get that down. Okay, so thank you, Gary, for coming tonight and for your participation. Anyone else have anything? Anybody online for public participation? No? Okay. Then I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second, Leanne and I, first and second. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Both carries 100%. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
This library is closed, so those people working security at the library would appreciate a quick exit.